another great day for you, and I trust that you are having what I will consider an overcoming day, and I will call that good. And overcoming means that you are able to look at the various situations and the various experiences that you're having from the time you would have gotten up to the moment you're looking at this broadcast, and whether it's the same day or the next day, but it's a day that you would have to make decisions of how you overcame whatever befell you or whatever was in your path. The last thing you would have heard from me would have been talking about mental health, and you looking at those two words, mental and health, and understanding the soundness of mind. And it is important for us to note that today, this is one of the various topics that seems to be taboo and is not really accepted in terms of a daily context for discussion. But it is important for us to realize that everything we do or say does fall into the category of mental and health. Now, as I said before, mental is not losing it or being wacky or going out of your mind, or to use the common word crazy. No, it's just about the fact that there is a mind that is stirred, agitated by neurons and enzymes and all kinds of capillaries and blood and all that causes us to define the concept of activity through thought. So I get up on a day and I have a thought, and I am going to do something with that thought, because a thought is not just a thing in one's brain. It comes out as a behavior or as an activity. And so it's important for us to look at how these thoughts are formed and how do we create a thinking pattern. Now, you get up in the morning and there's already a schedule from the day before that you have planned for that day. And for some of us, you could say it's work or it's pleasure or it's leisure, but there's usually a caption, and you decide from the time you get up of what you're going to wear, how you're going to look, and then where you're going to go, specifically what you're going to eat, what are you going to do. And most times we find ourselves in the attempt to satisfy all those criteria that we come up against differences, different planning, a different concept, a different activity here, a different reaction. And it's important for us to note that all these are in the making of your day. Yes, it's all part of that day to come, not the day that you thought you should have had, but the day that's going to be real. Have you ever thought of that? The planned day may not be the real day, but the real day is only in your mind after the fact rather than before the fact. But the real day is actually before the fact because you haven't lived it, but it's there. It's going to be lived. And sometimes we are struggling to find that to be lived because of where we have come from. And I wanted to just pause for a moment here and think of where we have come from. We have come from Granny, we have come from Great Granny, and we can go backwards a little more. But we have an ancestral legacy that has been cultured out of our grandparents, out of their experiences. And so as they have had their own experiences, we can trace this way back, as far back as we want to go. But we would have realized in our Caribbean culture that we are discussing here a post-colonial era, where after the emancipation of slaves throughout the Caribbean, there was a particular kind of behavior that emanated out of the reactions and the experiences with massa. So here we are decreeing ourselves free because of whether it's in my country, trying to pick up the Camberley and having that freedom and that fight to get out there and come into the streets. But then, thereafter what? There was still a struggle to maintain life. There was still a struggle to understand, how do I now set my day? Before my day was set, I got up a particular time, Master woke me up. I had to make a quick breakfast, which may have been just a cup of coffee or something that could be found, and I was off to the fields. And during that day, I did not eat much because there was not much to eat, but I sang much, maybe I groaned much, and I worked much. I came home in the afternoon, and my significant other, or whether it was my woman, my wife, whatever category, prepared something. And again, that was menial, or that was the leftovers from, or that was the throwaway from Master's table. And so we find ourselves with that kind of mindset, and then we have the whole social fabric of our house being violated because Master comes into my house and takes my woman. And I have to find an emotion to make sure that I do not lose my life, my family's life, and of course my sustenance, my job. So there's always been that pressure of how I live. So now that I'm free, what do I do? What do? I do what I know to do. I do what I know to do, which is work. So I get up at a particular time, I have a breakfast, I work, I come home, I expect to eat, I expect a clean house, I expect a social life, I expect, oh, Master's not coming, but I am going. So I go to somebody else's house and I take their wife, their woman. Because that's a pattern. That's a pattern. And so that we've had these violations of safety, that violations of house rules, violations of identity as we have come through the ages. And our pattern today continues to experience violations of all kinds. And we don't realize that we are in a place where we are going to and fro. May I do it? If you look in the background, you see the waves. But I too, it's like am I going forward? Every time, and I've heard this, I make 2 steps forward, it's like if I make 3 backwards. Because it is about me reconciling where I'm going and how I'm going from where I've come from. So having come from that background and understand that my whole life has always been one of trying to make it right, or to violate, or to, even though I know violation is a curse, violation has broken down my own identity, my integrity, my personality, my psyche. It has affected me of how I see myself, because Master never saw me anything than a menial slave. But now I'm free and emancipated. But yet, have I taken that word slave out of my mind? Have I been able to be detoxed from that word where I am controlled by somebody else and not find the freedom within me? And so when we think of those 2 words, mental and health, we're really trying to find adaptation to find freedom with a particular line of work or line of expression. And today, let me come forward to 2022. After COVID-19, there's been a surge of private businesses. Everybody becomes an entrepreneur. And in a sense, it is real for people to decide that, hello, I am free. I don't have to go to work. I work from home. I am now cultivating something, a piece of land, a fabric, a piece of wood. I am doing something. But yet, are we free? What we do with the land? What we do with the fabric? Can we make something to sell? Are we really entrepreneurs? Is there a market for buying and selling what we have made, our crafts? But so we are still bound by that concept of not being able to really identify with a mass of people out there who desires my very creation. And so that we have more frustration now in the fact that there are so many markets in our experiences, so many kinds of works, but yet not many people buying, not many people investing, not many people sharing. So we are still in that place where we are feeling that abuse, and we're still going to and fro. So the frustration grows, mental health. The agony increases, mental health. So I am not at that place where there is that resilience that I can learn to live for tomorrow. And I'm not in that hardy place where I can really, literally bounce around happily. That happily has two P's. Not happily, happily, joyously. So we want to look at the fact that how do I really define my tomorrow coming out of that slavery day, coming out of that bondage time into a place of freedom? How do I work that? Let me give some more examples here. Even from an education position, the child goes to school, and from a kindergarten age, the child is full of play. You're creating with plasticine, or you have drawings, and you go into the outside and you pick leaves, and you do things with sticks. You're having a fun time. And then all of a sudden, you get a book list with books. Not just books that are, may I say, to read or to inspire you, but books for which you have to study and regurgitate the information. It's called examination. You have to learn to write, you have to learn to do this. Everything now is put in a structure. So can I just decide to get up and say, I'm going somewhere? No. I can't even do that now. If I do that, you will see me. Or I'll have my cameraman going, choo, choo, choo. So there's always a structure. Yeah, so I have a structure. It's time for school. It's time for break. It's time for lunch. It's time. And during that time, I have other structures. So that by the time I get to secondary school, I'm in a place of just forms and norms. Forms. This is how it is. And if I break that, I will be punished. The reward for breaking it is punishment. Yes. So therefore, am I free? So I have to have a particular mental disposition of how to handle the reward, which is punishment, or handle the reward that is empowering, or enhancing, or educating. No, I have to constantly be in a fight to find my own happiness, my own joy, my own place of hardiness, my own place of resilience, where I can really entertain me. Mental health. So here am I get up in the morning, and I may have a feeling, may I use that word, of just going by the beach or going shopping. But I have to eat the food. Month 10 cometh. I have to get the money. So therefore, if I have to eat the food or I have to get money month 10, I can't just decide to go by the beach. Because if I do that, I will have to report, I'll have to give an excuse, and I may lose a day's pay. But I fail too. So I don't yield to my feelings. I go to work. But in that day, I'm still struggling with that emotion of leisure. Beach. So am I really producing that day? Or is there an agony now of overcoming the thought of what I call freedom of leisure to the structured work of schedules? The boss gives me something to write. I have a letter to do. I have proposals to do. But I wish I was on the beach. You see, we are in an agony. So at the end of the day, I'm really exhausted mentally because I have been trying to work in an arena that I didn't want to. So I create my own agony. I don't need anybody for that. Me and me alone. So that's an example of how do I work out or not work out my freedom. That's the example of how I have to realize and agree that those two words are real, mental and health. I have to. There are times when my children will come home, let's say, and I prepared a meal for them, and they will tell me, no, I don't want that. You don't want that? I sit down here, stand up here, twist, turn, cook a meal, and you come to tell me, you want that? You know what I had to do to buy them things? Oh, agony right there. Because there is this I don't want. There's this thing about me saying, hey, what's happening here? So I get what? Into a negative emotion. I would want you to know that you cannot do anything but eat that food or else. So there's a negative emotion. We call it anger sometimes, vexation. You want to either beat, scream, and then the child reacts to that, and now there's a whole thing going on between mommy and child, or daddy and child. Mental health. How do we work out that I don't want? You know, just recently here, I heard in a different way. Not I don't want, I want. But what was wanted was not what was being prepared. So I decided it was peanut butter sandwiches. But I'm doing salads. So I'm not going to just give you that, because if I give one person what they want, the next day, how could I establish some order when somebody has decided they want and I said, no, but yesterday you did it. Hold on. So you have to, you see, those are other things of establishing the equity and establishing that kind of balance that you are going to need in your home, which is again mental health, because the next day could be back and yes, you're my favorite. She get what she want, but I can't get what I want. So what did I do? I took the peanut butter and I made a sauce. And I made a Thai salad, which will accommodate the peanut butter. So you had the salad, which was now Thai. So I added a few extra ingredients and I made it a little more Thai-ish. And I added the peanut butter sauce that had its own concoction with some other ingredients. And everybody was happy. She got peanut butter, we got it, she got. So, you know, I had to think very quickly, because I could find myself in a place, or she could find herself in a place saying, I ain't got what I want. You got peanut butter without bread. But you got peanut butter. So I did have a discussion about that though. I just didn't leave it to say, here, take it. I did have a discussion, and you know, the young lady was very happy to say, yeah, I enjoy the peanut butter. You see, I am not sure why the need for peanut butter sandwich. Is it the peanut butter you want or the bread? But I thought that instead of creating another anomaly, another struggle in the home, let me see if I can create that kind of balance. And so we have to be careful not to react to what we hear when we hear I don't want. How do we help people? Because I know I have reacted before, but I have had to learn that that doesn't work, because it doesn't encourage proper mental health environment. So I'm sharing this to help you see that coming out of our background of that in a post-colonial context where we are still struggling to find that liberty, having the structure of times to get master pleased. We are still having that structure of times to get master pleased again. And we are still invading people's homes and creating very much imbalance and negative social life, social patterns, because we're still working out those ancestral emotions and those ancestral dynamics. We need to redefine ourselves and recognize there must be a way to have a balanced, sound mind. We must. It's important for us. So how do I decide I want to go to the beach but yet I go to work? When I get there, I make a decision. I am at work, not at the beach. And I have to remember that when I think about the day, it's right where I am, rather where I think I should, because that dichotomizes the whole situation. That brings you into two dimensions of thought, and you are struggling every day. No, when I get home and I see what's to be eaten, I prepare it, I say, this is it. I was honest that I must not violate another home by trying to find somebody else's mate to be mine because I have desires for her or I want to avenge their. No, I have to remember the more I avenge, the more I create negativity, the more I create apathy, the more I create a struggle. So we have to find that word content in how I now learn to work in this new environment with that content to bring about this balance of a sound mind. So, where do we end today? How do we fit this in 2022? How do we begin to find that I have opportunity to be free. Free? Yes, freedom doesn't mean no traffic lights. It doesn't mean no doors. It doesn't mean no white lines on the road. It doesn't mean no gates. It means, how do I manipulate, or how do I use, or how do I work with these traffic lights, white lines, gates, doors, rules? How do I? I have to realize that they are not there, as it were, in my great-great-great-grandfather's slave times, to pressure me to get my master much more equity or wealth. I must realize that I am not being used for somebody to climb on my head. I am in a system that I must see the satisfaction for me. I must readily do that. I must want that. Are you following that? I must readily want to see how I can be best worked, I can be best accessed, I can be best used, I can be best employed. So that it is about what value I am bringing to the table. So when I go to work, what value do I bring? I cannot bring positive value if I don't want to be in this space. And if I don't want to be in the space, therefore get up and go to the beach. You see, when we vacillate, and it reminds me of a Bible verse that talks about a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. And that's it. You cannot have a stable day if you're double-minded about the day. You have to know, hey, we're doing this. I am here. I am there. This is my family. This is my spouse. This is my boss. This is my grocer. This is the marketplace. We are having this. Not shoulda, woulda, coulda. The minute we have a shoulda, woulda, coulda, we are creating that kind of agony within us, mental health. So I want to encourage you today that when we are going forward, we have to determine the now by a decision that this is, and I am involved. So content, acceptance, access, resilience, mental health. HAPPY, happy. JOYOUS, joyous. So I can really celebrate my day and understand that I am a more successful person for tomorrow, not just for today. For today takes me into tomorrow. So my behavior today takes me into my tomorrow. So as we cap off here today, I want you to remember those two words. We are going to be looking at it again in our next broadcast, mental and health. But I want you to see today that coming out of that kind of background, we are not to continue to work out as if we are slaves, but we have to learn to make our decisions, not because we are afraid of being whipped. And we'll talk about that next time, about punishment, about being whipped. No, but about being encouraged and empowered. So go be empowered, go make a decision. Don't vacillate, don't compromise, don't be in two places, don't be unstable. Be positive, be focused, and do that which makes you productive, progressive, and relevant. This is Dr. Niles signing off, and have a good day.